ready?
We're ready.
Hello. Oh my gosh, we're on episode 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Awkward silence.
Yes.
Well, welcome back. Seriously though, episode 10.
Yeah.
This is so exciting.
Holy cow, who knew?
I love it. So thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Excited to have our listeners back. It's fun.
It is.
Love it.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get to last week. We were busy traveling and everything else, and
We were in Rhode Island.
We were being mediocre.
Being mediocre, that's right. So...
I actually thought I was like, maybe we should on the car ride we could record on the phone or something, but we never did.
That'd be fine. We should have recorded when we were in New York.
Oh, that too.
What were we thinking? Anyway, so today, not ready, not set.
Just start.
It's gonna be today's episode. Love it. So here we are. What do you think?
So we've been thinking about this thing since we started it, this Power of Mediocrity thing, which is going on really since December probably is when the thought started, and then we started getting some blogs going, and then podcast has only been the last month and a half or so. Or maybe it's been 2 months.
I don't know. Time's weird.
So we had this sort of epiphany the other day, and it had to do with, I don't know, it was like ready, set, go, but then instead of being like that, like nobody, when are you ready? Like we decided, it's kind of like, man, we're not ready at all.
Well, we were discussing, you were talking about how our thing, quote, I guess you could say, is just start, right? Like that's kind of what the power of mediocrity is. It's like, don't be overwhelmed with what you need to do to get there. Just start, whatever that means, right? So I was like, well, what if it's like not ready, not set?
Right.
Sure. Then just start. So here we are. Not ready.
That's right. Not even prepared.
Kidding.
Well, we have a little outline for today, so we'll see how it goes. But, even when we think about this podcast, we're on number 10 now. Like, I don't know if you guys have listened to number 1, but at the time, we literally didn't know how to actually put a podcast out. Like, I didn't know where you put it online or how it worked or, like, how you submitted it or any of that stuff. And we still recorded it anyway. I imagine if we would have, and even like looking at the stuff, when I read it, it didn't make a lot of sense until I actually did it. Those things are like, sometimes you read the directions for something and you can't actually like visualize how you would actually do it. And it seems so complex. So you're like, I'm not going to try this. But if you actually just do it, then it's not that hard. So I think it's one of those kind of things.
Yeah, I think with the whole philosophy of not ready, it's like, I think so many people out there feel the same way, where at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really wants more stuff. I don't think that that's really what people want. I just think people want to feel some sense of like joy. Mm-hmm. So and then what does that mean? Like, how do you get there? How do you achieve that? What does that look like?
Right. Yeah, we had a discussion earlier, maybe this week or last week, when I was like, well, what's our goals? And it's really easy to be like, well, we want to make $1 million or something. But like, is that really the goal, to like make money? Because, well, I mean, for one, that doesn't even mean anything, because inflation could go 1 million times higher and like all of a sudden $1 million is worth a penny. So like, that doesn't even have value that way. But then, why do you want that money? Well, okay, then maybe the reason you want it is because you want to pay off all your debt. And then you want to have some money that frees you up for doing stuff. But what you really want is that freedom of, like, not the debt. You really want freedom of your time and freedom of creating or doing what you want to do with your time.
Yeah. But I think what's important with that thought, and that it's something that I've been really having to wrap my brain around with lately, is that you don't have to hold yourself accountable. You can't you don't have to say, well, I can't be happy until my debt's paid off, or I can't be happy until I have this or that, or I can't be happy until XYZ happens. I think that there's beauty in learning to be happy with the very moment of where we are right now.
Right.
Like, what is that feeling? Like, can you put yourself in, like, say for us, like, we want to pay off our debt, right? We want to be debt-free, student loan-free, get all of our debts paid off, which seems somewhat like a mountain of...
Yeah. We have 25 more years.
But we won't. Because we're not going to be there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I like the idea of saying, how in my mind would it feel to be debt-free? And right?
Yeah.
Like, what is that feeling, right? That shackles off feeling, like what we've talked about. I feel like, can't you achieve that moment right here, sitting right here, making that podcast?
Well, I don't know what it's called, but when you look into, especially like Eastern philosophy, if you somehow magically think that something you're going to do in the future is going to solve all your problems, like paying off all your debt, and then you all of a sudden be happy, or if you get that house, then you all of a sudden be happy, or you win that job, then you all of a sudden you'll be happy, or if you make a platinum record, and then you all of a sudden be happy, like you'll never be happy. That's not what those things don't make you happy. You might have temporary feelings of joy, but it's never going to be anything that worthwhile, Well,
my point is, I think it's really important to figure out like how to elicit that feeling of freedom every day of our life. Like, I 100% believe that we can feel that happiness every day when you wake up.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying you're going to be happy every single second of every single day, but I think that we can have those like good feelings.
It's funny you mentioned the happiness thing too. I guess I've been reading a little bit about this stuff, and actually, again, Eastern philosophy or whatever, they talk about like not like if you're on any of the extremes, then you're always going to swing back. It's like you're on this pendulum. So to not expect to have happy and sad or angry or horrible moments and great moments, like that's part of the balance of life. You're going to have both.
Yeah.
And if you are too far on one side or the other, it's going to swing back the other way potentially. And like,
yeah, that totally makes sense.
It's kind of a hard place to be. So,
but I think accepting that there's no such thing as like an exact moment of readiness.
Right.
And but we can always, I think it's important to get your mind ready in like the sense that your mind can be there and mostly ready to do what you want to try to do. And it's okay just to accept it for what it is and learn and just go for it. Just go for it. That you're not ever going to be completely ready to do whatever you want to try.
Definitely. Yeah, I think if you wait, if you say, all right, well, next week I'm going to work on this thing so that I can do this other thing.
Right.
There's just never ending getting there. One of the things we have in our outline here is like your normal day. It's like, it's Monday and the alarm clock goes and you wake up and then you got to get the kids ready for school and then you get them out the door and then you go to work or whatever. Maybe you can't, maybe they drop them off at daycare. You get to work, you have all those things. Now during the day, you might daydream about the way you get out of those days. And then, you're like, okay, tonight I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn about this thing because I wanted to do it. And then you get home, it's 6:00, something like that. You got to make dinner. You make dinner, 7, 8
Okay, this sounds depressing.
Then, you play with the kids. You got to get their homework done. You got to do all these
It's
things.
always something.
And
it's constant.
You get the kids to bed, and now it's like 9:30, and you usually wake up at 5. So what is that? You're like 7.5 hours of sleep if you go to bed then, and you still haven't done any of the things that you've wanted to do. And then you say, well, I can't start reading my book because I didn't research it yet. I didn't do this yet, or I didn't do that. And I think it's easy. Then you just default into, oh, I got to wake up soon anyway. I'm just going to veg out and watch some TV. So you do this over and over again, and that's kind of like the normal day, right? That happens, I think, for everybody our age or a lot of people. It's very hard to get out of that. You don't think?
I'm giving you this look because it sounds so,
there's great parts of it.
Yes, But it sounds intense.
Hey, that's how my life is 100% right now.
I mean, I feel like that's where this whole, like, that's what exactly what we're trying to get out of in a way. Don't you feel like?
Oh, definitely. But
like,
so you have to say,
there's no perfect time based on that schedule, based on that timeline.
There's no perfect time to do any of it.
Like, you can't hold yourself to it.
You'll never be able to prepare.
No. And that's the whole point, is that if you, like us, have this very regimented schedule and you feel like it's kind of like crushing down on you, well, you're not alone, first of all. And I feel like it's possible to break out of it with the mindset that you just have to go for it.
Right.
That there's no perfect time. There's no perfect way to do it.
Right.
You're not going to be 100% ready. You just have to go for it.
It's like these podcasts too, we basically have to make like a deal with our kids. And then we're kind of like, all right, we got to go down and record this right now because we're on borrowed time.
Because they're upstairs creating havoc right now.
Who knows what they're doing? And we kind of know, but we don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm super obsessed right now with like RV families, because like I feel like this is exactly the philosophy that they live by. Like,
what's an RV family?
So if anybody that knows me knows that I'm like really into the idea of downsizing into an RV and traveling around the country. And there's like an entire culture of people out there who are doing this with families, with pets, with the whole shebang, right? And you talk to them and you listen to their they post podcasts and they do YouTube videos, and I have a couple families that I really like watching, and that one of the things that they say, both families, are if you wait for the perfect moment, you're never going to do it.
Right.
Like, you're never going to find you can't wait for the perfect RV. You can't wait for the perfect time. You can't wait for the perfect, moment. You can get about 90% there, maybe 95% ready, but the 100%, no questions asked, I'm 100% ready, like that moment doesn't exist.
Right.
And that's why I really like, I'm really into, I've mentioned Keep Your Daydream before, which clearly I need to have these people on. I feel like I advertise for them. And then the other one that I listen to is Less Junk, More Journey. And they're a family maybe our age with a daughter. And it's just so empowering. I mean, these are people who had 2,000 plus square foot homes.
Right.
And we're tired of exactly what we just talked about.
Sure.
Like this like constant in motion, every day goes by and you wake up and it's the next day, and you wake up, it's the next day. And then, I mean, how many years have we been married? 13 years later, it's like, holy moly, time goes so fast. So they're just going for it. And I am totally intrigued by that lifestyle. I think it's super fascinating to be definitely. Like, to not have the fear and not, just to say, I mean, they probably did initially, but they got over it. They overcame it and said, you know what, let's just do this. Like, what is the worst thing that can happen?
It's like a misnomer to think that these people don't have fear.
Yes.
Like, of course they have fear. They have the same fears that you do and I do and anyone else does. But you can't let the fear stop you. You gotta kind of do it. So I think as far as the not ready part of this statement, not ready, not set, just start, is basically just accepting that you're not ready and being okay with it. Yeah. Being okay that you're not ready, but you're still going to go and do it anyway.
You're still going to do it anyway.
So then we get to not set. And you basically have this desire to break free from your prison, right? That you self-imposed prison maybe. And again, this isn't, you got to be careful, because I feel like a goal is not what's going to make you happy. So you have to get happy another way. Getting to the end result is not.
Well, that's what I was saying with like happiness. Like, I think that it's important to learn how to be happy in that feeling that I was talking about. Like, how do you imagine that you would feel if your debt's paid off? I feel like that is a feeling that you can obtain at any moment.
Right. But you should still be happy even if you never pay off your debt.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Even without feeling like
that feeling there, there's something about that feeling that's magical. Like, there's something magical about just being in the moment and being happy, right? Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to sort of be in the moment, right? It's one of those two, like, sure, some of us have better memories than me, probably everybody.
Yes, everybody.
But
Rose has better memories than you.
How confident are you of all the things in the past that have happened? I mean, can you recall them like verbatim? Like,
no.
I'm
sure there are people that can.
So how much of it, if you really want to get philosophical, how much of what you remember is actually real? It probably isn't.
What is real?
People remember all kinds of weird stuff that is like a distortion of what actually happened.
Yeah, sure.
And that could control you. It can change you and put you on the wrong path, I think. You have to think about those things. I think another thing with like not set aspect of this too is like you got to understand that success isn't binary. It's just not success and not success and success. There's it's so gray. I don't even think there is one extreme or the other. You can't actually fail and you can't actually succeed.
Yeah, I don't think you can fail. I think, that's an important point. When you're starting something new, whatever that may be, I feel like for us, it's more along the lines of starting businesses, right? But when you're starting a business, for example, okay, so say something doesn't work out. That's not a failure. You learn something from that and you re-navigate essentially, on how you wanna go about it. So I don't think it's
say like no one, not anyone listened to the podcast at all. You could say, well, that's a failure. You did a podcast, nobody even listened to it, but you actually did a podcast. You succeeded in putting a podcast out there. You recorded it, you mixed it or whatever. You put it on there. It's on iTunes. It actually exists.
We're spending time together. We're sitting down talking.
Yeah, these are all successes. And how do you know that 10 years from now, whatever you learn from doing that thing isn't the thing that takes you over the edge and gets you to the place you really want to be?
Right.
It's all these things are built up on each other. So to think that success isn't, it's not binary.
For sure.
And then I think was the last understanding that the journey only requires the first real action, which is to just start.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if there's one thing that I've learned that I would want people to like that just holds so much value is that the most important thing that you do is taking action, right? Whatever that may be. Just getting out there, putting yourself out there, taking action and not being afraid to do it. Anybody can do that.
Right.
Anybody can do that. There's really nothing holding us back other than our minds in terms of taking action on what we want to do. Whether it be writing a book, whether it be starting a business, whether it be opening a coffee shop, whether it be, quitting your job or starting a new job or applying for another job, whatever that is. At the end of the day, you just have to try. You have to start.
Right. There's no trying, right? There's just do.
Action. There's just do. Right. Absolutely. Touche, Tim.
A great example, I think, is a book. I think the reason the book is easy to think about is because it's an action you can take that's like I think we all know what that means to write, So I think if you're listening to this podcast and you want to write a book or you want to write a blog or you want to write a song or you want to right after, stop the podcast right now. Stop listening to us. Just if you have a couple minutes, if all you have is 2 minutes, turn this thing off and just start writing. And really that should be for anything. This should be it. You should be like, Power Mediocrity changed my life, and I only listened to episode 10, and I didn't even finish episode 10, and they have 100 episodes now, or whatever, and I didn't even finish episode 10, and right now, I owe everything because I just started and did that thing. That's where we want to be.
Yeah.
Like, right now is the time to do it. It's not tomorrow. It's not whatever. It's this very second you should do it. And the good thing is, you're going to start and you're going to get like some adrenaline from it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get a little motivation, once you actually like put the pen to the paper.
Right. Right.
And I feel like writing is a good example too, because you're actually doing the thing you want to do. I feel like when you start a business, there's a lot of what they call like action faking or whatever, where you're like, well, I'm going to write a business plan and I'm going to research da 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 da, and I'm going to research this, but you're not actually doing anything. Probably the biggest thing you could do, I think, for starting a business is just go sell. So if you're at this point, you're thinking of, I don't have a book, but I want to start a business or I want to start this, then go sell. Like that. That should be what you do. Turn us off and go sell. But say you want to keep listening because you need a little more motivation.
And we're cool.
We're cool with it.
I mean, come on. Wait, they're waiting. More motivation.
More motivation.
Yeah.
So I know from writing a book, and I realize it's not out yet, but just to finish the first draft and to finish going through and doing even the first and second pass of editing that I did, is that consistency is everything. So once I said, okay, I'm just going to start writing this, and it was 9:30 at night, after I got the kids to bed and I was tired or whatever, and I just said, I'm going to do this. I told myself I would do this every night. And no excuses, no weekends off, nothing. And every night I did it. And I think that that's really important. If you try to do, if you try to like say, well, I'll do one today, and then I'll do one next week at the same time, and like it starts to get really hard to do. I think you have to have some kind of consistency. Maybe it doesn't have to be daily, but I feel like I want to suggest that it should be daily. With no excuses. No excuse, if you say, I'm going to do 15 minutes a day on this, then that's huge.
Yeah.
It adds up so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and honestly, it feels so motivating to stay motivated. Like, right. You sit and write a blog post and you're like, oh, okay, well that took me half an hour, 45 minutes, and right. That was really cool. I'm glad I wrote that.
How fast does time go by too? Like, we're saying right now, this podcast has been probably 2 months, maybe more. Power Mediocrity stuff. I mean, it's been over a quarter of a year since we thought about it.
Oh my gosh.
And but I think, what if you wrote a blog post every day during that time? You just got consistent with it. That would be, 100 blog posts or something almost by now that you would have written. Mm-hmm. And it would have seemed like no time at all passed. It seems like a lot of time when you think ahead, but when you look back, you're like, oh, it feels like it was just summer or whatever. And you're like, well, if you would have been writing, you put a video out every day or whatever, or you worked on your business every day, or you wrote in your book every day, now you would have written for 250 days or something. And if all you did was 15 minutes, that's still 50 hours or something that you put towards your book.
It's a lot.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
You looking at the list?
I don't have the list out.
No.
My list is gone.
So I'm reading all this. I'm trying to get Kate to talk.
I know, I'm not very talkative today. What can I say? Actually, I feel like I'm talking a lot.
So, and then things that you stall when you're starting, I think, is it you basically have to decide at every step and you just have to decide. You have to make a decision. Do you figure it out on your own, or you hire someone else to do it? And that's it. There's no other. You just have to decide.
I don't know. I definitely, for instance, like starting my website, I am so glad that you know what you're doing with starting that. Like, and you've done it before, and you're pretty well versed with that. I could see where that would be intimidating for people that didn't have somebody that already knew it. So I think there holds value, and sometimes if you want to get started, you either are going to have to just learn it, which I mean I've learned a lot with starting and doing it myself, Or you just have to either ask somebody that you know that has done it, or pay somebody to help you get it going.
That's part of figuring it out, right? Is
Yeah.
asking. But I think you have to decide. You can't let that be something that stops you. You can't say, I'm not going to do this because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And whatever. Just figure it out. What was really good about Kate and her website that she's working on is that when I got it started for her, basically, she's like, can you change the password and everything? Like, put it under my name. She's like, I don't want you in there, basically. She was basically like, maybe she didn't.
That is not how I said it.
Yeah, it was sort of like that. She's
Really?
like, why am I using that? I don't want to use your email with this or whatever. She's like, can you change this? And I'm like, fine. I'm like, hands off.
Well, it was like your
was
email
good.
address and your password,
I
which
know.
felt weird to me.
So I actually think that was good, though, because it was like her taking ownership for her thing.
Yeah, well, that's how I felt about it. I didn't want to like be logging in with your password.
Right.
It just felt intrusive for you.
Sure.
To be like, hey, babe, sorry, I'm using your password again. Not that it matters. We probably have the same password.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Which is Tim is hot. Wait, I didn't say that.
Oh, yeah, that is. How'd you know?
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, and I think just asking. I think that's such a good.
Oh yeah, so
that's definitely where I am right now.
Extra. So we had the first steps, right? The not ready, not set, and then just start. But we have 2 bonus steps for this whole thing.
Bonus.
Bonus. The bonus steps.
What's your bonus step?
Is the first one that Kate just said, which is, so you've just started, you've done your thing, you maybe you got a business started, maybe you got a book started, whatever it is, but it's overwhelming because you have, how could you possibly know how to do all this stuff? So one thing I've been trying to harp on Kate with is that she just has to do just.
Yeah, so I have this website started, and I think it turned out really good. It's my first website I've ever done. I've put a good amount of time into it. I've written blog posts. I've shared it with a few people,
Right.
and everybody. It's hard when it's your friends because your friends, of course, are like, oh my gosh, I really like it.
Right.
Like your friends are usually not negative. My friends have all been really, the people that I've shared it with have all been really, positive. So that's been nice. But now here I am and I'm like, okay. So now I have to make the decision to actually get out there and like share it and start asking people to share and put myself out there.
Well, and even asking for clients.
Yeah, for clients.
And not like, I know we've kind of asked for some on here, but I think we, also just literally going and asking people to be your clients or whatever. And so just ask is the 4th sort of step in this.
Yeah.
And
it's hard when it's like I'm dealing with parents who are grieving. So of course I don't want to feel like a salesperson, but I truly do feel like offering something genuine.
Right.
So
ask any musician, professional musician, how do you get gigs? There's only really one way to get them. You have to call and ask the venues if you can get a gig.
Yeah.
And it stinks. None of us like doing it. It's funny. It's like one of the more like awkward. You just feel like, why do I have to do this? And you don't, maybe I'm not good enough. You start going through all these kind of things. But you don't get gigs unless you ask. And what's funny is if you just ask, like, yeah, that's not always going to work out, but you can get some pretty awesome stuff that way. I mean, you can get really cool festival gigs and stuff. You just didn't even know because you wouldn't have asked. And if you don't ask, it won't happen. And it's also just important to, interact with people.
Well, and even with asking people to be on our podcast, everybody has said yes.
Yeah.
Every guest that we've asked.
Right. Oh, we have a very cool guest pretty much confirmed coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's pretty exciting.
And then Christy's confirmed, my friend who's the author.
Yeah,
so that's very exciting. She said yes. Well, we haven't confirmed a date, but she said yes. And then I'm totally going to ask, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to ask one of my RV family people that I follow. They're pretty busy, so they could say no. Yeah. But I'm hoping that
they might say no today, but maybe they say yes later.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it too, is like, you actually create opportunity by asking.
Yeah.
So maybe you ask somebody to be on your podcast, but it doesn't work out, but then they actually know who you are. Maybe they check it out and then they share it with somebody else. Or, you start a business and you ask somebody to do it and they say no, but they might tell somebody else. It like becomes this like networking. You're actually networking when you just ask people about it. And if you need help with stuff, it just creates all this opportunity. It becomes this like, it sort of gets some life to it. So you've started now, and you've stirred the waters by asking, because now you've interacted with people. You made a connection.
I don't remember who I saw this. Maybe it was an article you sent me or a podcast. I don't remember. But he was a life coach, and he never turned down guest speakers.
Yeah.
Like if he was asked to be on a podcast or asked to be interviewed, he always said yes, regardless, unless it was like, there would be some level of, but within reason, he always said yes. And he said he never charged people to like be whatever. And he almost always got a couple clients out of it. Like, because people would talk and it was just one of those situations. And I feel like that goes both ways. Like, it helps us, it helps them. And it's like this mutual agreement that just by asking, like you put yourself out there and you learn like all about like these people that are out there doing like such cool things.
Right.
So it's really
what do people like doing to like, this gets to like the core of like humanity a little bit. People love helping other people.
Yeah.
It's like this like social karma points or something that you get from doing it, we can't always do it. We don't have time or whatever. Or maybe we're just in a bad place where it feels like we're being taken advantage of in general, but like people love help other people. It's like gives them social clout and all these kind of things. So you're actually
good to help people.
Yeah, and actually in some way by asking people to help you, you're sort of helping them. And it's just this weird thing. Like it becomes this circular thing where everybody's you help them, they help you, they help somebody else, you help somebody else. It becomes this thing where if you learn something about something, you can share it with somebody else. I remember I was in New York City when I lived there, and I always used to have a good rule of like having cash in my wallet, which I don't have it, by the way, so don't mug me. I never have cash now. I have 3 girls in my house.
Right. It's gone.
But I remember I met this guy, and people always ask for money when you're in the city. But it was one of those things. I was near Penn Station, and a guy needed to get on a train. And he asked me, and I guess it was just the right frame of mind. And he said, I'm sorry, I don't have money, and I got to get on the train or whatever. And I'm like, sure. And I gave him, it was $20, I think. And he was like, I never forget this. He was like, I'm so thankful for you helping me, and he's like, here he was just asking for help. And he was like, you could tell he was like timid about it. He felt weird. And of course there's a huge stigma with people asking for money. And he's like, I promise you, I cannot help. I will never be able to repay you for this. But I promise you that the next time somebody asks me for money, I will give it to them.
Aww.
And I was like, if we all did that, like that's like the opposite of the eye for an eye thing,
Yeah.
Where if we all just help each other, then we help the world. And I think there's like a human thing that we want to do that.
Right.
So keep that in mind, that when you're asking for help, you're actually giving people an opportunity. I don't mean to harp on this any longer. I also recall when I needed to take the ACTs in high school, my parents, their car or something was in the shop. Like it broke down. And then my brother or somebody took the other car, so we didn't have a car. And I had to take the ACTs a Saturday morning.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. And my dad was like, well, can you ask one of your friends to help? And I'm like, I'm not gonna ask my friends. That's awful. He's like, why? He's like, if your friends ask you for help, would you do it? I'm like, of course. He's like, so you think you're too good to give, like, you won't give that to your friends. You won't let them help you, but you'll help yourself, help them. So he basically called me selfish for not allowing my friends to help me.
And who took you?
Jay Carr. I remember. And he was so happy to help. was like,
well, plus you're like a super fast test taker, so you're probably there like all of 10 minutes.
all right. But
bye and run.
you know, I still recall that, like, my dad's basically so you're being selfish, people. If you don't ask for help, you're being completely selfish. And I think he was right. You're not gonna let your friends or somebody else help you.
Well, it's a pride thing, right?
Yeah, you get your pride. You get your pride stuck in the way. But think about the feeling you get when you help people, and how you can help somebody else have that feeling.
Yeah. Can we just go back to New York again?
I think that's right. It was really nice there. We love New York.
Yeah, that was fun. We didn't even talk about that. We were at our friend's wedding.
Yeah.
Dan and Colleen, who are like, Dan is like the coolest dude.
Yeah.
He's I was on our way home. I said, Dan's like that person that when he's talking to you, like he's Mr. like social, right? Like he talks to like everybody, and he's like always going, and you know, and it's crazy being at your wedding anyway, because you already feel like a squirrel trying to like bounce around and talk to everybody. But when you're talking to Dan for like that 1 minute that he's standing in front of you, you really feel like there's nobody else in the world talking to you.
Yeah. He's very good at feeling you very special for that.
He's super charismatic, and it was just a really cool wedding. It was beautiful.
It's great.
It was fancy. Like we got to go up to like a rooftop bar and sit, and drink some wine. We had no kids with us. It was great.
Definitely.
So that was
another
fun.
As far as Dan, like I think this is a funny story. Dan and I met in New York City when I was there. So I was 19, and I think he was 22. So he had graduated, and you know, so we're both musicians, and we're just trying to make our way. And we both replied to this ad for a rock band. It was funny. I wasn't even. I think I can't even remember why I decided to do like a rock band, because I've been more into jazz and stuff, and I was like, but I kind of wanted a gig, you know. So I went to this ad. I think it might have been an SIR. It was a pretty nice studio wherever it was in New York City.
It's an SIR.
SIR. It's like the place where all the famous bands rehearse and stuff.
Oh, okay. All right.
So and you can rent equipment and stuff from them to do shows and whatnot. Anyway, we both get there at the same time, and we have these big headphones on. Dorky walking around with
totally
headphones.
90s style.
And you know, in our Discmans. And well, it would have been the year 2000. Year 2000.
Yes.
And we were both literally listening. We took our headphones off as we were going up this elevator, because rehearsal spaces in New York City are up and down, not so much wide. Going up this elevator, and we were both listening to Tool.
I love it.
Because their new album probably came out relatively soon around then. And then we kind of hit it off. And it's funny, the person that we were auditioning for, she was actually a stripper at Scores. So if you listen to Howard Stern or whatever, he always talks about Scores as a stripper place.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I can't remember what her name was. Anyway.
That's
how we met.
So that was fun.
So yeah, asking. So we just ask. The next step then, maybe not the next step, but this is what's going to happen. You're going to ask. You're going to ask this thing. You're just going to start, and then something's going to happen. You're going to have interaction with people, and the next move is going to happen. And this is where you have to take advantage of it. You have to execute. So if you get the opportunity to do something, you have to execute it. It's not the time then to, squander what you have. It's the time to be like, this is all in, I remember we had our neighbors over who they own their business. And he's had it for 20 some years now, I think.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that, they started this, they were making these things, and it wasn't going anywhere. They weren't making any sales or anything, and they were trying to sell. They make thermal conductor things, and they couldn't get anything going. And he had like 2 other people that were working with him. He had to lay one of the people off. Then another person, was basically he couldn't afford them anymore. And they, at the same time that they were trying to make this sale in Chicago, and it was a huge place, and they put these feelers in it, and incidentally, the people that he was working with, that they were working with making the same product, were always late on their orders and everything. And so this huge company, this was like, oh, well, these are nice things that you guys are making. We'll just switch. And so they went from like no orders at all to having this moment where he needed to hire like 20 people like instantly.
Oh my gosh.
And because to try to make, and they were like, oh, we need this by, a month from now or whatever. And he was like, that's it. Like he was telling me that that's what happens with every company. You get to that point and it's like, you either got to put up or shut up, basically.
Yep.
This isn't the time you have to execute right then. And that's sort of the intent of this thing. Is you're going to have a moment like that with whatever you're doing. And that's the moment. It's not the time where you go like, wow, this is too hard. It's impossible. There's no way we'll ever be able to do it. There's impossible. No one can ever make that timeline or whatever. You screw all that. That's when you're going to have to put your head down, you focus, and you go for it. And I think that's really where I was trying to get at with that.
I mean, that's the whole take home to this entire podcast, this episode. Yeah. You just gotta start.
Right.
It's not perfect. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
You kind of figure it out along the way.
Yeah, and I work in engineering, and I can guarantee you, even with the best firms and the smartest people, there is a lot of just not great work out there. And that's what runs our whole infrastructure, the internet, everything. So if those people waited for it to be perfect, we would have none of this. Everything that you're using, everything that you take home, all the things you buy, none of it's perfect.
Well, and there's something that you learn along the way, right? And you tweak it, you make it better. But you identify mistakes and problems and the good things about it. And
right.
You tweak it and you make it better. And
I mean, how many times do you buy stuff at the store and it's like new and improved? And it's something you've been buying forever. Right. New and improved Duracell batteries. Why? Because they're trying to get better at it. They don't know everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing, some of these things. New and improved Kleenex.
Well, like cars. I mean, that's, look how much better cars have gotten. Lights.
Right.
Look how much better lights have gotten. Now we have LED lights. And
right.
LED lights have got. I mean, everything gets better. We make improvements along the way. You can't start perfect, and there's no such thing.
Right. And even today, none of those things are perfect.
Yeah. They're all still hiring the best that they can find of people
still,
trying to make it better,
right? And you still have opportunity. Like, you want to compete with Kleenex, you could probably make a tissue better than what they're doing. I bet in 20, 30 years, there is a Kleenex or whatever, a tissue that's way better than what we have today. So those opportunities still exist in every field.
Yeah. Except nursing.
Yeah.
Kidding-ish. But anyway.
So just start already.
Yeah.
Turn the stupid thing off.
Right.
If you haven't already for other reasons, go ahead and turn us off.
Sell your house and buy your RV and go. That's going to be us. I think I have Tim talked into it. I can see us doing that. In our Airstream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. Not the Airstream. But the other one. Anyway,
you're losing people. If they haven't left already.
Bye. Fine. Anyway.
All right, people. Number 10. We're so glad that you've been here this whole time, and we appreciate you listening.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And go and check us out.
Yeah, stay tuned for more guests.
Yep.
Go back and listen to other episodes. Let us know what you think. Rate us on iTunes. Subscribe. Comment. Share.
Yeah, give us a good rating. These all help. It helps tremendously.
It's like sharing these podcasts. If they do anything for you at all, it really helps us keep motivated too.
Right.
We're definitely not perfect, and we like getting pat on the back like anyone else.
Right.
So we're asking you right now.
We're asking. Yeah. Please rate and share and love us.
Yeah. Or if you hate us, let us know. Just don't totally bash us online. Well, you can, but we'll bash you.
Whatever. And go check out our blog, right?
www. And we got like 40, 50 posts of different stuff. And if there's something you guys want to see or you want to hear about, or if you have ideas for guests, or if you think you could be a good guest, let us know.
Yeah. We're always up for ideas.
Yeah. We're not in the no stage right now, so.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. See you next time.
Later.